Yeah, it's an issue that the world has paid attention to, and so it comes up no matter where we are, and when we get together. Obviously that has now kind of come to a head, and it is what it is. I think actually today, there was a march in Washington, D.C., and I think the chairman of Standing Rock was there, and some other folks. But, man, I have, I took my son out there last September, and we were there. It was like the first day after the National Guard was deployed, and it's crazy because, you see the National Guard get deployed to, like, New Orleans or, like, where some natural disaster happens, and they're just sort of out there in their fatigues and walking around, and it was crazy, man, because they had, and it was nowhere near the camps. It was literally as you're coming into that road that leads, that highway that leads to the camp, they had, this crazy roadblock, where you have to kind of like just zigzag around to, get through, and these guys were strapped, man. They weren't out there like, just in their fatigues hanging out. These guys were all strapped, and, I'm sure they had the other stuff in the vehicles and everything. And I'm like, man, why you got to come out here like that? I mean, you're not even close. They were out there for safety, right? But they ain't anywhere close to where people would have been walking around in the sides of the roads or anything like that. It was just an excuse, man. And I just feel like, that kind of stuff I don't respond well to. And, I told the guy when he was like, hey, where you headed? And I said, I'm headed down there. And he said, I said, it's crazy, right, man? This is kind of like the old days, right? Cowboys and Indians and, cavalry and everything. And he didn't know what to say, man. Up. So we just kind of kept.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that, though, man, because here in St. Louis when that shit was going on in Ferguson and all that, and they deployed the National Guard, they didn't even put the National Guard in the area where they said they was trying to protect and make sure people were safe. But they was, like you said, these guys was locked and loaded, ready to go. Like when you see a regular tank rolling down the street, you be like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy, man.
It is, man.
That shit is crazy.
I think, what was really surreal for me, man, is that not a lot of people know this. The majority of America doesn't know it, but General Custer was actually stationed right there where you make kind of the curve, the road curves around coming out of Bismarck and Mandan, and you start headed towards Standing Rock. When you head south there, you come around the corner, and his base, his military base where he was based out of, literally where he left to go all the way over to Montana to end up, getting killed in Custer's last stand, or the Battle of the Little Bighorn. And where this roadblock was, it was probably like, maybe 2 miles away from that. And it's just crazy, man. It's like how small of steps that we've taken to move forward all these years later, man, and it's just a little nuts. But, with all that said, and with all the albums I've written and songs I've written about these issues and about that struggle, what I know and what I've had to understand about the business side of things, and especially when you're an artist that has something to say that, maybe mainstream America isn't ready for, but you want to do what you want to do, how you want to do it, you gotta go underground with it, and you gotta go independent. And, back in the day, it was incredibly hard to do that. There was no Vimeo, no YouTube, no SoundCloud, no none of that. It was like straight pushing it in the streets and trying to get it out there and, perform and, sell tapes out the trunk and whatever, just to get the music heard. And today, when you look at these kind of things, man, I don't think people really understand it. And I was there with my son in the camp, and yet I'm looking at like these crates and crates and crates of water that was there. And I'm looking at the water, and I was wondering to myself, how many people really understand that every water bottle that's out here is made with petroleum? How many got here in like a, how many folks got their solar powered bike and rode the Standing Rock? Like, bro, there was none of that there. How many people got on a plane and flew there? And it's crazy because sometimes I feel like you got to understand the bigger picture, right? You got to understand everything, and we can point the finger and we can talk about this stuff, but yet we're contributing to it. The gasoline that was in the generators, powering the camp, the everything, man. The people that were going around getting the garbage, they were all driving, trash trucks, and that takes gas to put in those. I mean, all the cars that were there, all the mobile homes that came, and all of that stuff. And I know that we're trying to do their part too, with trying to create some wind-powered, energy and some solar energy out there. But I'm also like looking around, going, man, this is something that's really big, and it's something that everybody is involved in because everybody is a part of this industry, whether they want to be or they don't want to be. And
exactly.
Yes, we need to find a way. We need to find a way out of it, but we also got to find how we can know who we are, know our position, know what is of value to us, and know where we need to get to. But we also got to get out there and start building dialogue. We got to get out there and start building a narrative. We got to get out there and start building relationships and creating partnerships so that my granddad used to tell me, man, you either at the table or on the menu. What do you want to be? And, no matter how much people fought out there, I know people left their job, people quit their jobs, people went out there and struggled and sacrificed. Now, don't get me wrong, man. There was a lot of people out there pimping this issue for their own good, for their own agenda. And they were out there doing their own thing, and it wasn't really all about Standing Rock. It was about what they wanted to get out of Standing Rock. And so, you're going to have that no matter what you do, man. You're going to have those kind of people. But what I was thinking is like, man, it's not too often that Indian country gets the world to stop and listen for a second, right? And in this moment, what are we going to really do with that, man? How are we going to sustain that? I never thought in a million years, man, I would be able to walk into a camp like that with my son and let him see something. The closest thing that I could probably think back in the day is what it felt like to be really in a camp like that, where you just see the people everywhere, and it was really sustainable. It was peaceful. It was really good, man. And what are we going to do with that energy? How are we going to keep that moving? And what I see now is that what ended up happening and what's happening right now is, and I'm not saying the fight doesn't go on. I'm not saying that people are quitting. I know they're not. But, man, we got to sit down and have a friggin' dialogue, man. We got to sit down and be able to, like, come to the table with something and say, hey, look, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, and if you're gonna do this, we need this, and really get down to the nitty gritty of it, because it's a business, and we gotta be able to have those business conversations too with these folks, and get something out of it. Because now what do we got? They're gonna get the pipeline, and we don't get shit.
Yeah.
So that's